Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the Cambridge IGCSE Biology Chapter 8, that is Transport in Plants. So after COVID, Cambridge has changed some of the topics from the syllabus. So this is syllabus for the student who is writing exam in 2023, who has already written, then 2024 and 2025. So without delaying this, let's continue with the topic, what we're going to discuss in this particular session. So we'll talk about xylem and the phloem. We'll talk about functions limited to xylem and phloem. Then we'll talk about identifying in diagrams and image the position of the xylem and the phloem in roots, stem, and leaf of dicot plants. Then we'll see the structure of xylem vessels, and the function will be limited to thin walls with lignin, no cell content, and cells are joined by end to end. Then the next section is water uptake. We'll try to identify the diagram and image of the root hair cells, and we'll discuss the function. Then we'll talk about the large surface area of the root hair and how they help to increase the absorption process. Then we'll talk about the pathway, what pathway water takes when it goes to the mesophyll cells. And there is one investigation question. We'll use suitable stain chemical, and we'll try to find out the pathway of the water molecule. Then after that, we have transpiration. In transpiration, we'll discuss about the process. Then we'll talk about what is evaporation and how evaporation helps in the movement of water from the plant to the air. Then there is investigation question here, where we have to describe the effect of variations of temperature and the wind speed, only limited to temperature and the wind speed on transpiration rate. Then we have explained how water vapor loss is related to the internal surface area. Then explain the mechanism by which water moves upward in terms of transpiration pull, and explain the effect of rate of transpiration limited to temperature, wind speed, and humidity. And explain how and why plant get wilting. In the last section, we'll talk about what is translocation. We'll also discuss the source of the plant, part of the plant that release amino acid and glucose and sucrose molecule. And we'll talk about sink, where the food are stored, such as your roots and some stems, and explain why some part of the plant may act as a source and sink at different time. So all these things will be discussing this particular topic. So without delaying this, let's continue with the topic. Okay, so this is the topic, and we are going to discuss about the transport in plants. We have already discussed about animals. So in this unit, we'll just focus on plants. So first of all, when we say transportation of substances in plants, we always talk about xylem and the phloem, which is a very basic term we use in plants for transportation. As it says xylem vessels, actually they are the dead tissue, and they help in transportation of water and minerals. Why minerals? Because minerals are generally dissolved in water. So when water is going up, along with the water, minerals also get carried away, right? From the root to the stem, and then from stem to leaf. Now, water moves by osmosis, whereas minerals will move by diffusion process in the plant. And phloem tissue, they transport food material. They are mainly they transport sucrose molecule, which is less soluble. So plants synthesize glucose, which is highly soluble. But when it comes to transportation, the glucose molecule combines to form sucrose molecule, combined with itself to produce disaccharide, which is a you can say it's a slightly insoluble with respect to the monosaccharide, and it is made in all photosynthesizing leaf, right? And then it goes to root and stem, because root and stem, they don't do photosynthesis. So the food is going to transport it to those areas where the photosynthesis is not going to take place, because they don't have a chloroplast and there is no pigment. Xylem and phloem collectively called vascular bundles, and, and these vascular bundles are spread throughout the plant everywhere from root to shoot, then leaf everywhere. Okay, so let's try to understand the structure of the leaf. So you can see this is the thin layer of the leaf. If you can see here in this diagram, they're showing a layer of the leaf. It looks very thin, but when you see it under microscope, you can see the all different layers. Right. So let me tell you what are these layers are. So the first layer is the black line you can see on the top. This is wax layer, also called cuticle layer, which prevents which reflect the light. Right. Maximum sunlight is going to fall on the upper layer. So it is thicker on upper layer, so it will reflect. Then we have upper epidermis. Then we have palisade mesophyll cells, which is column-like shaped cell, and they are linearly arranged. Then we have spongy mesophyll layer, which are uneven distributed. There's an air gap also in between. This is lower epidermis. Then we have a cuticle layer. This is stomata, right? So as here we are just talking about the vascular bundle. So we'll focus here in this part. So the blue color is the xylem tissue, which conducts water. And this purple color, sorry, orange color, this is going to carry food, called phloem tissue. Phloem is living tissue, xylem is dead tissue. And collectively we call them vascular bundle. Right. Now the question. The Cambridge asked question from here. They will give you the stem pictures or root pictures like this. And they will ask you to label, or sometime it will be labeled and they will ask what it signify, what it shows. Right. So they can ask in multiple choice, they can ask in paper 2. Or they can give you to draw this diagram and ask magnification in paper 6. That is also possible. So in case of stem, you can see in stem, the vascular bundles are arranged like a concentric, like a, you can see they look like a capsule, right? And they are arranged on a periphery. Periphery means on the outer layer. They spread actually in a circle way. So the blue color is the xylem, which is always inside, and the outside, which is spreading, they are orange color. They are actually phloem, and together each tablet shape is called vascular bundle. Now the arrangement of xylem and phloem is not same as it is in the stem. In root, they have a different arrangement. So let's try to understand this. So this plus sign which you can see in the center, that is xylem, and the 4 dots which you can see here, they are the phloem tissue. Right, so xylem conducts water, phloem tissue conducts food molecule. And this is root cortex, and outer layer is the cell wall layer, cell tissue layer. Now let's try to understand what adaptation is there in the xylem vessels and how they are able to conduct their process of conducting water and dissolve mineral ion. So what are the adaptation you can find in the structure? So first of all, The cell joins end to end. You can see this is first cell, this is second cell, third cell, fourth, all are joined end to end, and there is no cross walls. So if there is no cross walls, they will make a continuous channel. Second important adaptation, cell is essentially dead. Without cell content, so it will allow easy to pass all the water molecule. So they are dead. So due to dead nature, the cell content is not there. So it makes a easy passage for water molecule to move. Now let's see the outer wall. This wall. The outer wall is thickened by the substance called lignin. Lignin is a polysaccharide, and they are deposited. They are more in the on the outer walls of the xylem. And due to this lignin, it provides strength and also provides support to the plant. Right. So always remember three adaptation. Cells are joined end to end to make a to make a continuous channel. There is no cross walls. Number two, cells are dead, so there is no cell content, so it allows easy passage for water to move. Third, the outer layer is thickened by lignin deposition so that it can provide strength and support to the plant. Now let's talk about the root hair cells. So root hair cells, they are specialized cell found in plant cell, and root hair cells is is a single cell actually, but they have projections coming outward. You can see here in this diagram. So root is coming outward, right? And they grow between the soil particle. And once they grow, later on, they absorb water and minerals from the soil too. So water move into the cell by osmosis, and minerals will move by diffusion, right? So when we say osmosis, so whenever we have to talk about the movement of water, we always consider saying osmosis because osmosis term is used specifically for the movement of water from the region of higher water potential or water to the area of the lower water concentration through semi-permeable membrane. And that is why water is moving. And due to this finger-like projections, right, they increase the surface area of the cell to increase the rate of absorption of water by osmosis and mineral by first diffusion and then active transport. Now might be you are thinking why active transport? Because once mineral is absorbed by diffusion, if the diffusion is going on, a time will come when the concentration of the sugar molecule, sorry, salt molecule or ions molecule will be equal in and out of the cell, right? So active transport will help to move against gradient and water will move into the cell. So if you can see the pathway, what pathway cell is taking to move to the xylem. So first of all, this is the soil particle and this is the root hair cells. Soil particle have higher water potential and the root hairs have low water potential. So we know that water move from high water to low water potential, right? So from root hair, it goes to cortex cell, then xylem. This is xylem. And from xylem, it goes up to the leaf where they will do photosynthesis. So osmosis cause water to pass into the root hair cells through the root cortex and into the xylem vessels. So once the water get into the xylem, it is carried up to the leaf where it enters the mesophyll. And mesophyll is the area where water is going to be used up for the process of photosynthesis. So in that way, this process is very important. Now, suppose we have to investigate the movement of water in plant. It's a very simple experiment. So you can see on the top of the right side, there is a three different flask has been taken. One is controlled, that is having only water. Second is having red dye, and third is the methylene blue is added, right? And one plant is put it inside the beaker, and it is kept in sunlight for few hours, right? So what will happen in the sunlight? Transpiration will take place, right? And water will go up and go into the into the atmosphere. Sorry. So after some time, right, after 2 3 hours, when we cut the cross section of these stems, right? So what we are finding, and then we'll see there is no stain. In the first case when there was just water as a control, you can't identify the xylem vessel here because there is no color. But in these two cases, only xylem vessel in the vascular tissue show the dye because the dye is dissolved in water, and wherever water will go, dye will also go. So this the simple experiment can be done in school to help kids to understand the process also. Now, what is transpiration? Transpiration is a loss of water in the form of vapor from the plant leaf by evaporation of the water at the surface of the mesophyll cells, followed by diffusion of water vapor through stomata. So this answer is quite, I mean, this definition is quite lengthy and very um, concise in terms of what is happening. So yes, water is being lost. Where it is being lost? From the leaf. By which process? Evaporation, right? From where? From the mesophyll layer. By which mechanism? Diffusion process. Where? Out of the cell. In which form? Water vapor form through stomata. So there are so many answers being discussed in this question, right? If the question describe transpiration, so you can write it. So water travels up the xylem from the root into the leaf of the plant to replace the water that has been lost due to transpiration. So we have seen in transpiration, water is moving up and ultimately it's going out of the plant in the form of water vapor. Xylem is adapted in many ways, like they have lignin, which makes the wall slightly tougher, right? And they are dead in nature. Second, these cells then become hollow, tube-like, because it is end-to-end connected to form a continuous channel, continuous tube through which water and minerals are going to move. Lignin present in these continued tubes helps to provide shape and maintain the pressure in the movement of water, right? So movement in water, movement in xylem once takes place in one direction always goes from root to stem, but from root to leaf, rarely. So how water is moving? So evaporation of water in the molecule from surface of mesophils. So water is going out in the form of a gas. Diffusion of water vapor, that means gas form H2O2 out of stomata when there is a concentration gradient. So you can see in 1 and 2 how the molecules of water are moving. Transpiration has several functions in plants. So transport, first of all, they transport mineral ion at up to some extent, provide water to keep cell turgid so that cell should not get wilted, provide water for the leaf to perform photosynthesis, keeping the leaf cool as it leaves the cells, right? So it's going to leave air, right? And enters the airspace requires heat energy. So using up of heat to convert water into water vapor helps to cool down the plant. That's all. So when conversion is going on at that time, the the heat which is being used up converts the water into water vapor and helps to cool it down. There's a video also here I have posted, so you must check this. whenever you have a time, and this will build your concept. Investigation of transpiration rate using two factors, temperature and wind speed. So let's see the process, how the experiment is going to be. So cut a chute under water to prevent air entering the xylem and place in tube. Set up the apparatus as shown in the diagram and make sure it is airtight. I will show the diagram. Using Vaseline to seal any gaps. Dry the leaf of the chute. Remove the capillary tube from the beaker of the water to allow the single air bubbles to form, and place the tube back into the water. So this requires a precise handling of the equipment when you are doing an experiment. Set up environmental factor you are investigating. Allow the plant to adapt to the new condition for 5 minutes. Record the starting location of the air bubble. Leave for a set period of time. Record the end location of the air bubble, and then you can find the change in the wind speed or temperature. Right? So reset the bubbles by opening the tap once the reservoir below the reservoir. Repeat the experiment to get more reliable data. And the further the bubble travels in the same time period, the faster transpiration is occurring actually. So if they are moving faster, that means transpiration is also going very fast. So this is the diagram. Setup is very simple. This is photometer. This is your delivery tube. There is a scale on it called volume scale. This is beaker. Air bubble is present here. You can see this is capillary tube, a thin tube which connects the photometer to the water. So number one, we have seen record distance of air bubble at start of the experiment. Leave for set period of time. So like, don't sit and wait and see what is happening. You have to uh, give the uh, time, give some time so that process can continue. Record end location of the air bubble. So suppose air bubble starting was here, now it reached to here. Calculate the distance traveled by the molecule or by the air, and reset air bubbles using tap of the reservoir if necessary. So if not necessary, just leave it. Repeat experiment after changing factor being investigated. So in this way you can do it. Environmental factor can be also investigated in the following way, like temperature. Of course, temperature of the room is cold or warm. So as temperature increases, transpiration will also increase, right? But up to a limit. Wind speed also have the same process. So it will be more rate of transpiration and more rate of wind speed, right? Transpiration stream. What is this? So, see, when we're talking about transpiration, we focus on how water is moving into the leaf, into the stem, and then goes to the leaf. So water molecules are attracted to each other by cohesion force, creating a continuous column of water. Water moves through the xylem vessel in a continuous transpirational stream. So that stream, that suction pressure is being created in the xylem vessels. Transpiration produces a tension, a pull on the water in the xylem vessels to go up the leaf. As water molecules are held together by cohesive force, so water is pulled up through the plants very easily because there is some collective forces working here. So if the rate of transpiration from the leaf increases, water molecules are pulled up to the xylem vessels even faster because transpiration is faster, right? Loss, water vapor loss. Evaporation takes place from the surface of the spongy mesophyll cells, where there is many interconnecting air spaces between the cells, right? And the stomata creates a large surface area. This means evaporation can happen rapidly when stomata are open. So it's very important, right? I explain the effect of temperature, wind speed, and humidity. So wind speed condition is very high, suppose. What problem? More a good air flow removes water vapor from the air surrounding the leaf. which set up a concentration gradient between the leaf and the air, increasing the water loss. Humidity less because humidity is the measure of the moisture content in the air. So when the air is saturated, right, with water vapor, the concentration gradient is weaker. So less water is lost from the plant, from the surrounding. Temperature. So if temperature is higher, right, so it will be faster. Transpiration rate will be faster because the molecules are also vibrating faster, and mesophils and other cells also move faster than the lower temperature. So in this way, plant has gained their transpiration, gained their the normal movement, right? Wilting, sometimes when we don't give water to the plant get wilted like this. And once you give the water, they will get upright. Translocation is the movement of the sugar molecules. So in xylem we talked about the water, but in translocation we'll talk about sugar molecules. So these are transported around the plant in the phloem tube, which is made by the living cells. The cells are joined end to end to make a continuous channel so that substance can flow fast. The transport of sucrose and amino acid in the fluid from region of production of the region of storage or use is called translocation. So it's when food molecules move from source to sink, right? That's called translocation. Transport in the phloem goes in many different directions. So there is no one-way direction. It's multi-way from source to sink. Now there is a different condition when source and sink will change. So see here, during winter, when many plants have no leaf, phloem tube may transport dissolved sucrose and amino acid from storage organ to the other part, right? When in the winter season, during a growth period, the storage organ, that is root, would be source and the many growing area will be the sink because the food is going to the growing areas. After the plant has grown, the leaf are photosynthesizing and producing large quantity of sugar molecule. So they become the source and the root becomes sink to store sucrose molecules. So depending on condition, source sink keep on changing. So this diagram shows how the movement of sucrose and other things are going on. When you have to compare between xylem and phloem, you can talk in terms of what is moving, talk in terms of the process, talk in terms of the direction of flow and whether they are dead or living. So xylem, water is and mineral ions are moved. In phloem, sucrose and the amino acids are moved. Process, xylem, the water molecule is moving under the transpiration stream, whereas translocation is term used for movement of food material. Directional flow is always one way in case of xylem and multi-way in case of phloem. Xylem is dead tissue and phloem is living tissue, right? Let's see the factor affecting the transpiration rate. Temperature is going to increase. Of course, once temperature increases, the kinetic energy of the molecule will also increase and they will diffuse faster, right? Air movement increases, removes water molecule as pass out of the leaf. That means diffusion is again working here. Humidity, low humidity, the lower the concentration of water molecule outside the leaf. Steeper concentration gradient for diffusion. Source is the part of the plant where substances are produced, like leaf, right? Root hairs. Sink refers to the part of the plant where substances are stored, example, root, stem. The question may be asked from here, transpiration and translocation, the difference between. So there are 5 differences given here. So let's check one by one. In transpiration, transport is water and minerals from where? Soil to leaf, flower, and fruit. By which process the particles are moving? They are using passive transport and evaporation process. Higher rate is on hot, sunny, windy day or dry day. Translocation, the food molecules are going to get transported, such as sucrose and amino acid. From where to where? From leaf to shoot, root, root cortex, seed, flower, and fruit. Mechanism is here active process where energy is being used up, and higher rate is on warm sunny day. So question may be asked from source and sink, so we have to check on that. And that's it about the topic. And in the next lesson, we'll again continue with the next unit. Thank you.